Hey, welcome to yourstory.com. I'm with two wonderful people. We've been running this series on artificial intelligence and what it means to be a scientist who understands the future, right? Especially algorithms. I've got two wonderful people with me. One from the Philips Innovation Center, Pallavi, welcome.
Hi.
And then we've got somebody from NetApp, Rukma. Rukma,
Hi.
welcome.
Thank you.
And by the way, these two ladies have filed patents, so I'm telling you, you're going to enjoy this conversation simply because you have to aspire to understand software and machines of the future. All right? So I'm going to start with Rukma. Rukma, what inspired you to become an AI scientist? Firstly, tell me about the work that you do in your company and what inspired you to be an AI scientist.
Okay. So I've been working with NetApp for about 9 years now, right? And I always wanted to do research. That's all I started with.
Okay.
And after finishing my master's degree from IIT Bombay, which
Mhm.
was by the way in queuing theory and software performance,
Mhm.
I just wanted to apply that theory in practice. I wanted
Okay.
to see systems leveraging that knowledge to do better.
Okay.
And when I jumped into NetApp, I thought that it was all about making storage systems more
Right.
intelligent, more efficient, giving the best performance, and that's where the problems cropped in. And I started looking into data science and statistics as a starter, right?
Okay.
And it's really inspiring. I mean, it's really very creative. It kind of gives you that, kind of a kick to say,
Okay.
okay, I got to learn it. So it was about, let's say, you have this performance from the system, and why do you get this performance? Can I do it better, right? And then you have some mental model, your brain thinks in a particular way, but then AI gives you that tool to translate that mental model into a real code, right?
Okay.
And the thing started getting better. I could say that yes, this is really doing better than what I could think. It says, okay, this will give you this much accuracy, but if you tune this model, if you get in more features, right, if you use the supervised learning way of doing things, it will give you 10x more. And that's where we started loving it. And then the mentality or the mindset change that everything that I got to see here has a data angle to it, an analytics angle to it. So earlier I was driven by problems, but later on I was driven with the kind of tools and the techniques and the methodologies.
I'm glad you said that. I mean, AI is a very creative field. I'll get back to that. Pallavi, you have to tell me your background and what have you done in Philips so far?
So I'm currently a principal scientist
Okay.
and lead a team of around 20 research engineers and research scientists.
All right.
And we work in the area of healthcare. Especially from my side, my background has been computer science.
Okay.
I have done my PhD in computer science from IIT Kharagpur.
So
and
both of you are from
first-
IIT. That's
Yes.
that's very nice. Okay. So did that help you being in IIT, understanding AI back then? This is many years ago,
Yeah,
right?
so-
Was it called AI back then?
Yeah, we had courses on AI and machine learning, data mining, pattern recognition, soft computing. So those were the terminologies
Okay.
that were used at that time. But yes, AI has really picked up now. Though we were using the same algorithms, similar kind of machine learning algorithms back at that time, but it has really caught up
Okay.
now. And for me, it is the healthcare domain is what I
In
work
Philips.
in Philips. So I work in the area of signal processing, machine learning, image processing, but all for images, for signals, time series
Okay.
data, and so on.
Okay.
But it has the common theme of how do we improve the life of women. So
Okay.
women's health is my
Okay, fantastic. I mean, let's get on to the creative part of it. I look at you and I look at, in the old days we talked about cars and engines, and the guys who fixed engines were treated like gods, right? You are the gods of tomorrow. You understand, you are able to predict how things work. So between the two of you, how different would your fields be? You're in storage, but yet looking at it from an end user perspective, and you are in looking at data from the end user perspective also. But would the fields be similar? Would the learnings be similar for both of you? Who wants to take a go at this? Anybody, please?
Sure, I can start. So ultimately, again, it's the data, right?
Right.
And what we want to do is either we want to do some kind of descriptive analytics,
Okay.
or we want to do some prescriptive or a predictive analytics. Probably you would be doing similar kind of stuff. It's the difference is how you do data engineering in
Okay.
the sense what's the kind of data you gather, how you store them, how you extract features out of that data. So there is this domain knowledge
Expertise.
plays
Yes.
a role there. And of course the machine learning algorithms in general are
I think
similar.
that's
and,
right.
So what, you
Techniques
pull
and
data
tools
from,
are
the
similar.
techniques and tools are similar.
Similar.
So you pull data from clients, data libraries.
So the basic difference I would say is also the domain, as she said.
Okay.
You need to understand the problem very well, very specific to the domain, because that defines the outcome
Okay.
that you are required to get out of that, right? The tools and the techniques and to some extent even the data cleaning part, the gathering part is going to be the same,
Okay.
right? It's mostly going to be same, but then as she said, the features,
Hmm.
right? If you're talking about the climate of Bangalore tomorrow, then
Correct.
you got to look at the air temperature, you got to look at the pressure and the
Hmm.
wind speed, right? But if you're going to talk about, should I go to a particular place for a vacation, then it's a completely different features.
Okay.
But the data set might expose a whole lot of features, and that's where the feature engineering, pruning, which is very domain specific, because machines are going to be told, right, what you are looking forward as an outcome.
Okay.
So I think that's the major differentiator being
Right.
in health versus in storage, but then ultimately we are relying on same set of tools.
Let me also go down to the basics and the fundamentals. Why are we even talking about AI? What changed that AI has become so pervasive today? We cannot ignore it, right? So what are the foundations that led to AI becoming so popular? Please say, both of you.
Maybe I can start here. If I look at what the difference was between 10 years back when I was doing my PhD and right now, at that time the amount of data was very small.
Okay.
But if you look at now, the amount of data is huge.
Right.
So what are we going to do with all this data?
And all this is digital data, right?
All this is digital data.
Okay.
So what are we going to do with this data? So you need techniques which can mine this information and mine this data and get you an information out of it, right?
Okay.
And the other best part is that our processing power has increased,
Right.
storage capabilities
So
have
it's cloud,
increased.
storage.
Yeah, so we have the computing power has increased. So those are the things that has helped AI to
Yeah.
grow.
So to add to that, see, of course, more reliable storage, easily accessible storage, right? That's where NetApp comes in and many other players. Compute networks getting faster,
Okay.
right? Very important thing is the curiosity of humans,
Okay.
right? The things that we earlier thought that would be possible, now that you have the tools and the APIs and the open framework, the curiosity to go explore it, right? And you see the benefits helping you. I mean, in day-to-day life, right? It's helping you and you find that it's useful, so I should do more of it. So
Okay.
all of that.
So how do you build a curious mindset? For those watching, engineers, BSc grads, whoever interested in computer science, you got to start a curious approach to life. We've moved beyond the IT services kind of approach. So how do you build curiosity? Were you girls curious from a young age? Did you read a lot? Pallavi, did you read? Rukma, did you read? How do you build, or did you, you were not a math nerd as such, right? I mean, I shouldn't use that, but it's a combination of math and curiosity. And mathematics itself is curiosity, right?
Yeah.
So where do you start? How do you advise them to begin?
Yeah, that's a good question. Not a nerd for.
There you go. You're not nerds if you take AI, so do take it, huh?
Yeah, but yes, curiosity is something which I always had. Being updated always to the technologies and what are the new things happening. I go through all the papers, journals from.
Do you want to talk about what
IEEE,
kind of journals?
Yeah, I mean, for me, what is more relevant is the journals from IEEE, Elsevier, ACM, and so on. These are close to what I work.
Okay.
So these are the relevant journals, and there are conferences, international conferences, where worldwide people publish articles in these areas. So I keep myself updated in these.
Okay. And what about you, Rukma? I mean, do you read other things also apart from scientific journals?
Yeah, reading a lot in terms of what features have been added, right? I mean, things which are coming up, how it is changing your experience with the reality. And then if you kind of, search for it, you'll get other articles talking about what is the technology behind it or what are the tools, right? Of course, as she said, conferences, get together of technical people where you exchange ideas. It's a great platform, and we have a lot of that in India as well. You may not be restricted saying that you're not in, in the foreign countries. Open access to some of the IEEE, ACM, of course, but there are a lot of other things. I mean, look at even online things, right? And then of course a lot of free courses,
Okay.
audit courses from various tech giants and also
Okay.
from universities. Do look for them.
So where do they look for? What kind of courses would you suggest? Where do they begin? Say I'm a BSc graduate or a
Yeah.
BCom graduate interested in programming.
Correct.
Engineers obviously are part of this.
Correct.
Where do they begin?
Okay. I would say participate in hackathons first of all, right?
Okay.
That is useful because
Right.
sometimes these hackathons also have data available, made data available to you, right? Take those challenges.
Right.
Okay, a lot of things like Udemy, which have free audit courses as well. Like
Okay.
Google just released their AI
Yeah, they
courses,
released the
right?
course,
That's
yes.
a great starter, I mean, for this conversation also.
Okay.
So do look for them as a starter, and then you feel I want to delve deeper into, let's say, a supervised learning or a deep learning kind of thing. Then I'm sure you should be able to, get more on that.
Okay. Would
Yeah.
you agree with that, Pallavi?
Yeah, completely.
That-
I agree with her. I think we are right now in a era where knowledge is not restricted to any kind of
Right.
college or university. It's freely available everywhere. You just need to know what you want to get and
Right.
and
Yeah.
concentrate.
Get
on
together
that.
in groups,
Okay.
actually form a team, have
I
a goal, go for a data, have a target. I mean, that's the best way you could get started.
One thing when I had my previous conversation with both of you, you said the era of mentoring from a particular individual is over, right? You have to learn from multiple sources. Is that the future that students should expect? Or, I mean, is that how they're also going to be employable? In the old days, like you remember, we went somewhere, we had somebody train us, and then we had a senior person train us. But now it seems multiple areas of mentoring happen, right? You can get mentored in an hackathon. So is that how you look at things, both of you?
True. I think currently, at least in Philips, we
Hmm.
have been having interns coming from all over the country.
Okay.
We give them an opportunity to work with us either in the summers or even more than 6 months or 12 months. So that gives a very good opportunity for students to know what, I mean, they would be learning theory in their classes, but how do you apply it to the real world problems is what industry can help the youngsters to learn.
What are
And
your
another
thoughts?
thing we do is, especially in NetApp, is we engage with professors and universities, right? Because when I was in a university, we used to have this problem of no data or no real problem to go for.
Correct.
Industries have the data and the real problems, and the professors have the tools and the techniques, right? And it's the students who get to actually get mentored and understand. And another part to the mentorship, I mean, personal experience, you evolve because today's era is fast growing, right?
Okay.
And there is super speciality. Even if you look at AI, there are so many multiple things inside it, right? So you got to step on it and see if that interests you. If you are able to positively contribute, if you are able to see mentors around, then you go with it. But at some time you might get interested by an adjacency of it, right? And you decide to switch roles. So I think those kind of shifts are also happening, which are very positive. Or people don't go with the traditional mindset of, oh, I'm a data engineer and I will always be a data engineer kind of a thing.
Okay.
So
Guys, if you remember, many of us in our era, maybe that was about 10 years ago, people said, are you employable? It's about relevance now, right? Don't you finish, you do get a basic graduation, that's fine, but you can make yourself relevant because things are available digitally. You can go out and learn AI digitally, right? You don't have to go to somebody to learn a course, right?
Yes.
Your thoughts on this?
Yes, that's very right. I mean, being relevant each and every single day, like our CTO says, be excellent each and every day is very, very important. And you got to basically start small and see, you produce outcomes every day kind of thing, which tells you where am I going to go next, right? It might be on a day it's quite, disappointing that the insights are not great, the data is not useful, or it's okay, like we encourage negative results saying that this is an unsolvable problem, right? So you got to quickly make that decision and move on to saying, okay, this is not solvable, but what else is good for today, right?
Okay,
so
what are the steps, Pallavi? I mean, let me ask you both this, but Pallavi, I'll start with you. What are the steps towards getting to be an AI guy? I mean, you start with machine learning, there's computer vision, there's deep learning, but you would say forget all that jargon, just start with a basic course of what? Programming languages? What would you suggest?
Personally, I would suggest to start with books and video lectures and be serious with if you are going to do
what should they start with? What kind of subject should they start with?
Machine learning can be the first one. You have books from the Michel's book or Duda and Hart's book.
You want to repeat those names?
Michelle's book on machine learning, and this Duda Hurt on pattern recognition. So these
Okay.
are few which I had studied a couple of years back. But these are the fundamentals,
Okay.
and fundamentals are always
Right.
important. Then you look into a programming language that can help you to build
Okay.
these machine learning. And like R, it's one
Mhm.
such. Python is
Mhm.
quite powerful nowadays. So
Mhm.
these are certain programming languages that you can learn to apply machine
Okay.
learning.
Okay.
And of course, if you don't have the opportunity to learn machine learning during your course, maybe you can watch video lectures. Lot of lectures are available, like Coursera. Even the IITs in India have such video lectures available.
You know, Rukma, you said you use a lot of Python and R. Do you want to tell our audience what is Python and R? I presume, I know there are a lot of engineers who know this, but this is for those who don't. You want to tell them why you use Python and R?
I use Python actually specifically because I am of the opinion that the problem solving is the most important part of it, and whichever language gets me faster to it is one I'll prefer. Nothing to say that R is not capable and all of that, but I have more experiences with Python. So as I was talking, that Anaconda is something that you can get started with, and then you can install packages, pip install, and keep on adding packages to it. You can very much, if you have a good laptop, which most of us do today, right? We can have the entire Python, Anaconda, Keras, TensorFlow running on it. You can take a shot at, and by the way, Python also has this lot of data sources inbuilt, so you can import the data using the Python packages. There are data cleansing libraries, beautiful libraries to clean the data, do feature analysis and all of that. You can get started small with that. And to add to that question, you got to start with insight, right? You got to start with what am I solving? Let's say I give you a movie database, right? And if I tell you, okay, I want to know what movie am I supposed to watch or likely to watch, right? So that's the problem. That's the question that you start with. Have an intuition about how would you solve. It could be a basic statistic thing that I'm just going to, list all the movies and cluster them based on the number of people watch them or the average rating of the movie.
That's the curiosity part,
That's the curiosity part, right? And you see that, okay, the movies that have the highest rating are watched by least number of people. Then probably it's a skew because few watched it and they liked it, you seem to recommend. But then you plot them, and then over a period of time you see that, oh, there are few movies which are really good, watched by hundreds and thousands of people and have a good rating. So that's the intuition building part, right? And now it's an NLP problem. So again, in AI, a super speciality, let's say, it's an NLP problem. So I'm going to do that stemming and tokenization and do TF-IDF and all of that. But that comes later. And as I said, I have to solve it this way. Now look for a package, right? Or read a book which talks about, like Michael's book about, Michelle's book on which library or which kind of algorithm, let's say TF-IDF comes up, then learn more about it. But it's a mix of, don't go into the maths, because in today's world we don't need to know the math a lot because the packages and APIs are available.
The tools are available.
They would do the underneath math.
So the data heavy lifting will be done by these tools.
Heavy lifting.
So you don't have to but you need to know math obviously to do this.
You need to understand the intuition behind why this algorithm is going to work, right? If intuitively you're not able to map that intuition to the problem that you're solving, then you are actually completely relying on machine to give you an output which you would say, hey, this movie is good for you, right? You got to do a deeper analysis saying, oh, is that right? And if the algorithm goes back, it's like an auditability kind of thing, right? The machine goes back and says, by the way, you watch these movies, people who are like you also watch these movies, they rated these movies similarly, and hence I'm recommending this movie to you.
Have you heard of Anaconda?
Yes.
You have, right? Before that, I mean, listen, Anaconda, when I Google it, it's a movie that shows up. So how do AI scientists find Anaconda?
Personally, I haven't used it, so you can go ahead.
I don't want to do a lot of publicity around it. That's something that I find
it's
cool, and I hear a lot of conversations from freshers and practitioners saying, this is great. I mean,
good to know. Let's come down to some real hardcore engineering stuff that you've done. You both have filed patents. Pallavi, pick your favorite patent. You say that women's healthcare is something that is closest to you. What have you done? Have you filed patents in that field?
Yeah, so my patents have been very specific to the projects I have worked on or the products that I have worked on to be relevant for the company. One such patent I remember is about how how are you able to classify whether a woman is having a high risk pregnancy and will she develop a condition called preeclampsia when she will go into the third trimester.
Okay.
So that
what are the type of data sets? I mean, is it voluminous?
Yeah, of course. So the kind of data that I have been working on mostly contains images or signals. So my area of area is ultrasound. So it could be the sound signal, Doppler signals, or it could be the ultrasound images, video, volumes of ultrasound, and so on. So this was one of my favorite patent, how we were able to classify and say a priori that this women may develop a preeclampsia.
Just tell me, how real time is this? How powerful is the algorithm to detect anomalies?
Yeah, it's completely real time.
Okay.
You put the ultrasound probe on the women, you get the Doppler signal, and it can classify whether it
immediately.
Yes, immediately.
And it does save lives.
Of course.
Do you want to explain why? I mean, seriously, I don't understand it.
So preeclampsia is a medical condition where your blood pressure will become very high and you become hypertensive
during pregnancy.
During late pregnancy, and it can also lead into eclampsia, which can lead to the death of the women as well. So identifying that early so that you don't reach to that situation is what we were trying to do.
Okay, so that's your favorite patent. It's been granted? How many have you filed so far?
Filed could be 20.
Granted?
Granted around 14 are granted.
Okay, 14 are granted.
Different countries.
Okay, different countries. And these are all in the field of AI, data science?
Yeah, a mix of it.
Mix of it, okay. Okay, and you want to take it forward? I mean, you file many as well, as many.
I filed about 10 patents and 6 of them are granted.
Okay, and what's your favorite?
Okay, so I'll talk about something which might be more interesting to the people in today's era. So this is about big data and data analytics. It's for the customers of NetApp. Basically, we have the storage systems, right? And then there are a lot of customers and they configure their systems differently, right? We want to actually help customer to say, hey, most of the other customers who are in your domain, which are your community, are configuring these systems in this particular way. You seem to be falling in a minority and you are at a particular risk, right? Would you want to change this configuration? So as I said, there is a data velocity, a data volume aspect of it, right? There is a data variety aspect to it because we are talking about different type of configuration parameters in a storage software, right? And the combination of the environments in which they offer. So we want to actually take all of that together in a central place. So we use big data, right? We use Hadoop, we use Spark processing, and we use data mining or data analytics algorithms on top of it, which is like a Bayesian probability distribution.
What is the end user in your case? Who would
the end user is the customer of NetApp who has bought the storage system and it's up and running.
And they are obviously serving somebody else.
They are serving some applications, right? And then we are saying, hey, you are a customer, but there are other 10,000 customers who are using similar applications, have a similar configuration. You seem to fall out on this, and by the way, if you don't do that change right now, when you have a failure, you're going to have a data loss. Let's say that's a simple example. So this is a patent which is going to be filed. It's like a conceived and idea has been worked, and we have got some results. And I thought that would be interesting because it brings in the big data.
Very interesting. So it's more of a clustering problem that you have to bring all this voluminous data and make sure it's crunched on a real-time basis.
Basis.
Okay. A bit more futuristic. Okay, a couple of minutes, a couple of seconds with both of you. Our children are going to be in the AI era, definitely. We are in a narrow AI era where we are using it for simple machine learning, pattern recognition, movie recommendations being one. The other one is recognizing threats in medical care or whatever. When do you see a decoupling of intelligence and emotions? Do our children have to grapple with that? Both of you.
I mean, we are really in the AI era, I would say. Just give an example of the conversation between my mother and my daughter. So my mother is trying to search something. My daughter comes and picks up and say, hello Google, and she starts, assistant, and she starts asking the question. Then my mother says, it's not recognizing your voice. So she says that don't worry, grandma, it will start recognizing in a few days.
Oh wow.
So that's the
Interesting.
learning. So
That's
the
interesting.
algorithm is learning that her voice. So she knows that yes, something is happening,
Yeah.
and she's learning. The mobile or the app is actually learning.
No, that's very
So
that's the future, huh?
yeah, that's the future.
You know, it's very scary because the Google Assistant tells me you can tell me secrets, and you know that seriously, that's really we have a good relationship going though.
Yeah.
Well, what about you, Rukma? How do you see that
I
decoupling
feel
of
that
emotions
the
and intelligence?
emotions have a separate, corner.
Okay.
They cannot be completely ignored. Like
Okay.
if you look at Twitter feeds
Correct.
and things like the sentiment analysis,
Mhm.
the emotion analysis is a key factor there because you got to even let's say in any kind of marketing,
Mhm.
any kind of e-shopping, right?
Yes.
The emotions are important because in some sense you will get the emotions faster. You will be able to sell the right product.
Correct.
Right, but the problem with humans is we bring in emotions unnecessarily in the verticals where it's not
Right.
required. So
Mm.
that's where I feel the AI is bang on because it will bring in the emotion where it's required in
Okay.
the favor of humans, and it will tear them apart when it's not required.
That's a key word, both of you. I mean, in favor of humans, right? So,
Yeah.
should we audit AI?
Yeah.
Because will it be in favor of humans?
Yes,
And maybe
that's-
humans are manipulating AI not to
And
be in
then,
favor.
at least to speak from a NetApp perspective, this data compliance and auditing, provenance, data governance has been a very prime area because
Okay.
we are getting into a complete automated phase, right? When a machine takes a particular decision, it better be right and it's not judgmental or
Right.
because of certain favoritism and things like that. So though humans can cut corners around them, machines cannot. So auditability of models and the predictability, the recommendations from the model is turning out to be an equal importance field of
Very
research.
interesting.
Yeah.
Do you test your AI algorithms? Not to be judgmental.
Absolutely. So I think when she spoke about auditing the data as well as auditing the model, yes, and in healthcare industry, data privacy is prime, and we just can't
Ignore it.
that.
And that's a
Ignore
business
it.
IT services can look at really. That's a change. A quick note on the talent. What is India's destiny with AI? Do you see us really becoming the tech stack for the world, or are we going to be laggards? I'll throw it open to both of you. Quick shot.
I think we need to empower the younger generation to look at data from an analytics perspective rather than data gathering and manual data analysis.
Which is what we're doing
That's the
to them.
biggest mindset that we have to get rid of. Telling somebody that first gather the data, look at it manually, try to build your own model.
So you're saying do both parallelly.
Yes,
Gather
because
and
that's where we can drive the innovation for the next world, where India actually comes up with its own technology and
Very
own
well said.
algorithms,
Yes.
right? So I think that's the major.
True.
shift.
I
What would
completely
you say,
agree
Pallavi?
to what she said right now. And the best part is that the way the tools have been developed right now, you really don't have to be a computer scientist or a computer engineer to learn machine learning or AI. Any chemical engineer or a manufacturing mechanical engineer can use AI and develop algorithms. We can try to see how it can be used in different kind of fields, say starting from agriculture itself, how we can make use of AI in all these discrete different kind of
are we
areas.
lagging behind China and US? The number of papers being filed, should more impetus be given to research in AI and go and take it commercial?
I don't have data to comment on that, but from a individual perspective, I do see people, participating. Like we also publish in international.
Where do you get your
conferences.
papers from? I mean, do you read Chinese and American papers? Are there many Indian papers?
Indian papers.
There are?
Indian papers,
Okay.
a lot of them. Indian Americans also, right?
There
a
you
lot
go.
of Indian
Yes.
Americans, but these are always written in English. I mean, I
That's
have
another-
attended
that's
conferences
another
where
subject
a
by
Korean
itself.
publishes a paper and then he speaks in English. So
Wow.
it's become a universally known language.
Okay.
And I don't want to basically.
So when you know AI, does it cut across all languages? I want to ask you both. I mean, you don't have to program it in a particular
computer just understands one
numbers.
language, right? So the person who
Binary.
feeds in that
Yeah, so
information
it's
can
an
be any
algorithm.
language.
It's
So-
an algorithm.
So
yeah.
quickly, why do you think India needs its own AI kind of stack? You mentioned that. Why?
Yeah.
Do you think India needs to have its own India stack kind of?
I think more to actually encourage the generations,
Okay.
to come.
That's
Saying that we can build it.
to motivate people.
Yeah, motivate people because as we said earlier, we have to be relevant. And the first step to relevance is actually motivating the younger
Okay.
generations to take up the challenge rather than depending on somebody else to solve it for you.
Okay, Pallavi, final thoughts quickly?
Personally, I'm quite impressed with the India stack, and I think there could be lot of applications that
Built on top of that.
built on top of that and make our lives easy.
Yes.
For example, I would wish to be in a like when we are moving from I'm in a toll gate, just
Yeah.
to give an example of toll gate. I don't want to wait
Yeah,
for
you don't
15
stand in
minutes
queue.
in a toll gate, but if an algorithm could say that yes, this guy or she has paid it via Paytm or any of the other digital means, just
Yeah, by the way, for that, next year the government's going to implement a system where where it's going to be cashless. That's going to come. But both of you have been wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
And those of you in the void out there who don't know what to do, go there, study, become an AI scientist. All the best to you. Look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you for being on yourstory.com. Bye. Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.